the packet, the bag ones that are rotating, aren't they? Check one of the others.
She's done a nice job here.
Hello.
How? You did a nice job here.
She really.
I'm going to be starting in about 5 minutes, so glad you came by.
Добрый день.
Anyway, let's have a party, and so they celebrated spring. And this is why they ended up coming up and doing designs on eggs, which, why? They happen to have eggs. Why'd they have beeswax? Because paraffin's a petroleum product. Beeswax is older. So stop and think. Told you they were resourceful, so we're going to use 2 things. I turned around and marked that border. I'm going to take and put, because my hands have some dye on them. It's going to leave some marks on this egg, but I'm going to dye it some other color, so it won't really be that noticeable on there. Another thing I need to remind people, when you go to leave, please make sure you get a pamphlet straight. I'm also holding my Kitska one way. Sometimes I will pull my line towards me, or sometimes I'll pull it away. When I get to this point here, if you ever were really off space-wise, you could like gradually join those 2 lines. I'm pretty close, so I can just go ahead and connect them. But guess what else I've learned? Faster you move your little hand, the straighter your lines are. You're like, oh, fine, thanks. It's going to help a lot. But I'm going to turn my egg, because I'm right-handed. I always work better from this side. I'm going to take and do my line here. I'm almost turning. I'm going to do these fish. Let me see. I'm going to flip this. This fish I did had it both going the same way, but I'm going to change it. I'll make this one facing the other way. I'm going to go ahead and do the tail. I need to have a plan with what colors I'm going to add with this. And something else I didn't bring up when I was originally talking about this, and I mentioned that when the Ukrainian people, when they were pagan worshipers, and they did these different designs of the sun, moon, and stars when they had their different celebrations. Well, you stop and think, in 988 AD, when the church was introduced, and they ended up really, when Christianity really was a religion for them, and they really finally were understanding who God was, they ended up taking all these different designs, and they turned around and used them for their Christian symbols. And you know what's interesting? I'm doing a fish right now, and what was the symbol of a fish in the early Christian church? It was a symbol for new Christians. And so it's interesting, all those designs, and you even stop and think, well, I thought you said they did the sun, moon, and stars. Well, you know, God is the author of all of them. So how fitting that those designs, they could turn around and use them for their Christian symbols. Many times you are going to see designs of deer and horses, and that stands for wealth and prosperity, and also a ram. You'll see a ram, that's also another one. Now, this year, 46 years ago, that I had bone cancer. So this is 46 years that I've been able to be here, and I'm thankful that there. Look, see what happens? And look at how that's clearing off. And 46 years ago, when I had bone cancer, you know, that's a diagnosis that no parent really wants to hear. And even though, like, I was 8 years old at the time, you know, my parents, they were saddened about that. But I'm thankful that really I'm one of God's miracles in the first place, because even though sometimes we might think we'll just ignore him or something, no, God's always there, and he's ready to be with us. And you know, a lot of times, if you think of the poem, how our life is a tapestry, and what do we see? We see all the strings that don't make sense. But what does God see on the other side? He sees a beautiful picture of what our life is. And so, you know, I hope and pray that none of you have had to face cancer, but I'm sure in each one of our lives, whether we're young or old, all of us have had different crises that we've had to deal with in our families and things. But you know, God's always there. So I think we always need to remember that. And I like to use, every time I clean an egg, I think of that. When I think it's like, you know, it doesn't look like it's going to have any hope to it. But what ends up coming out at the end? Look, it's coming out to be a beautiful egg. And so a lot of times, again, when you're doing any of these eggs, this is an interesting ending to them. So you can see this, and what's even going to be more enlightening, I want you to watch when I spray egg, and I'll hold it up to that candle. I want my flame to be pretty straight. If my flame starts to waver, I will either like close the windows or something if something's happening like that. because I don't want to have this to smoke and smoke on top of the egg, because if it does, a lot of times it'll smoke the egg. You can use like a lighter fluid to clean it off, but I really don't even care to go that route. I'd rather just try to keep it as free from anything like that if I can help it. I like to use crystal clear Krylon. It's non-yellowing and it dries like in about 10 minutes. Here's what else I've learned. You spray a little bit, not a lot. So I'm going to spray it like this. I'm going to turn it. The holder that I've got my egg on that I'm spraying it, I took some foam board and took a staple gun and sprayed, and I was going to say, I'm spraying now. I was like, I do have another vocabulary of words. I took and stapled this with my staple gun there and ended up creating a little holder for it. Now when I sprayed it 4 times, I'm going to let it sit.